far as how different the sites are. It helps basically in trip planning. But, most important, we still feel that, you can get all the information you need off the internet. You can book online if you want, but we've got a full reservations department that's staffed Monday through Friday up here in Birmingham, and their job is to design your trip and book your trip with what you tell them. If you tell them, hey, we're low handicap golfers, we like to play. It's a group of 16 guys. They're going to steer you to certain golf courses and certain facilities that'll do that. If you say, hey, it's my wife and I, and we're going on a couples trip, we may steer you in another direction. We still believe, that you learn on the internet, but the personal touch that you get from having a package coordinator just can't be replaced. And that's what, rtjgolf.com. And then dial into the central reservations department or use chat and do it online that way.
Okay, that phone number I have here is 800-949-4444. So either rtjgolf.com or call the 800-949-4444 for more information about the Robert Trent Jones Golf Course, the celebrations for the 25th anniversary, and happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure. We have a lot of folks from your area that come to the trail annually, and again, we are one of the top values in golf. We have tried to pride ourselves again to make the state of Alabama as good of a destination, and to showcase what we have here to the world. And I think we're doing a pretty good job to make it 25 years. You must be, because golf courses do not all survive that long, no less so many golf courses. So it's a tough business, and you must be doing something right. So congratulations. And one of these days, I promise I will get there. I apologize for not having gotten there. Hey, let us know. Anytime you'd like to come to the trail, it is. You're not that far away, number one, and number two, it will not break a budget. I can guarantee everyone who's listening. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, Jonathan. That's Jonathan Romeo, Director of Business Development for the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back with more of the Golf and Travel Show. Stay tuned.
Cinderella story, out of nowhere, a former greenskeeper now about to become the Masters champion. It looks like I'm a wreck. It's in the hole!
I rap fly, call me chocolate thunder, and I got good to go 4 strokes under. Get out the way if you want to.
And we are back. If your business needs industrial workers, or if you're looking for work, you gotta call Labor Finders. Labor Finders places for temporary to hire opportunities for skilled, semi-skilled, or general labor positions, such as plumbers, electricians, concrete workers, forklift operators, hospitality, office clerical, and so much more. Labor Finders has almost 200 offices nationwide. Near here in Boca Raton, they have offices in Homestead, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and in Jupiter. So if you need legal insured workers, or if you're looking for work, call Labor Finders toll free at 800-864-7749. That's 800-864-7749, or visit laborfinders.com. And we are back, and that's a little taste of Kermit Ruffins, one of my favorite New Orleans performers, playing St. James Infirmary. I'm going to be heading down to New Orleans in a couple of days and staying at a Marriott, which, of course, is the official hotel provider, I guess, of the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail as well. But I'll be staying at the JW Marriott, which I've stayed at before. Lovely property, downtown New Orleans, a block or two from Bourbon Street, and a neat place to stay. So obviously I'll be partaking in a little bit of the food and a little bit less of the drink, because I don't overdo the drink. But many people do, and they have a great time doing it in New Orleans. It's a very, very fun town, and like I say, there's much more to it than just Bourbon Street, and I certainly enjoy listening to some of the jazz, the local guys that play down there. The music is incredible, and the beignets are, well, I'll probably come back a couple of pounds more than when I left. But anyway, I will be flying on Southwest Airlines, my airline of choice, who I rarely have an issue with and rarely read a bad story about. It happens. It happens to all the airlines, but some of them seem to be in trouble more frequently than the others. It seems lately Delta and American have been in the news more than most of the other airlines. I don't know why, but I do got a couple of stories for you. I started before we had our guest, and a couple more that I just found to be fascinating. It just seems to never end. And this story is actually a story, like I said, it's Delta Airlines. Family was they had a delay flying from New York's LaGuardia Airport to Florida. And it seems that they were kind of sleeping in the gate area, this family, overnight because of the 17 hours of delays. And as the employee for Delta was making another announcement about the delays, this child was using his cell phone, and he was recording it. He was filming it. And it seems that the agent from Delta came over to him and smacked his hand. The phone went flying. The kid was shocked. They're suing, of course, for better or worse. They are suing. And, I mean, everybody's in this for the money. The airlines are in it often for the money themselves. The people who are suing are in it for the money. I just wish that people stop hitting people, whether they're adults or hitting children. There's no reason for that under any circumstances. Violence should not be acceptable when you're a paying customer of a business. So now let's go back to American Airlines. It seems that recently, I guess this was a couple of days ago, flight from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which it was heading to Cedar Rapids, Iowa from O'Hare in Chicago, had to make an emergency landing in DuPage Airport in Illinois due to having smoke in the cockpit and in the cabin. This was a regional American Eagle plane that is operated by a company called SkyWest, and it seems that at first they were kind of trying to play down the fact that there was an issue at all, and then of course they couldn't do that. The smoke, which it started by the pilot area, it started to seep into the cabin area, and people were videotaping it, of course. And at first, the flight attendant, who was on her first flight that she was working alone ever, she said that the smoke was actually mist, like condensation. And of course, the passengers knew otherwise, so they were none too pleased that they were kind of being lied to, and were probably afraid that they were going to go down in flames with some amateur rookie trying to help them there. So, and again, it all was filmed. The flight did land safely. Supposedly, the airline is offering all passengers a $200 voucher for the trouble that they had to endure. It just doesn't stop. There also recently, I guess this was this past Monday, this was not Delta nor American. This was an Aeroflot flight from Moscow to Bangkok. It seems that 27 passengers were injured due to turbulence. You don't hear about that too often. Some of them were quite seriously hurt, fractures, bruises, some requiring surgery. 15 people are still hospitalized. It was bad. Now, I do know, I've never flown on Aeroflot. My son was supposed to fly on Aeroflot, and I advised him not to based upon what I've heard from a lot of people. Not so different from North Korea. It seems that the Russian government invests more in their fighter planes for their military than they do in their passenger planes. And I've heard stories about maintenance issues, that they don't invest in taking as good care of these planes. Just, again, beware if you find a really cheap deal on Aeroflot, because it may not be worth it. Something to consider. You might want to fly in an airline that has more up-to-date flights and reinvest a little bit more. This next story, this one is, we're back to American Airlines, and this is a strange story. This is about a lawsuit that was filed about a month and a half or so ago. $10 million lawsuit against the airline. It seems that a a woman who unfortunately had lost a daughter who was just 28 years old, was flying with the ashes of her daughter. And it seems that she checked the bag that it was in, and sure enough, the suitcase was lost. And not good. You know, according to her, she had about $24,000 worth of personal stuff in there, not including the urn and the ashes. And that according to her or her attorney, that it was not on the list because there's no way to put a dollar amount on your daughter's ashes. So eventually, believe it or not, American did find the suitcase. That's the good news. The bad news is the urn was missing from the suitcase. So somebody took the urn with the ashes, I suppose. So American is not disputing that fact. As a matter of fact, they did have a statement that they apologized for losing the items, and they're very sorry for her terrible loss. And their advice is, if you have something that is that near and dear to you and not replaceable, that perhaps the best thing to do is to not check it through and maybe to tell the airline or to carry it onto the plane and tell them, because they still may be suspicious if you don't explain to them what it is that you're carrying. So just again, a little word for the wise. American Airlines yet again in the news this past week because they are retrofitting or changing their new planes to provide about 2 inches less of space for your legs. And the reason for that is they can fit 10 more seats onto the plane by doing that. That's on their new 737 MAX airplanes. So instead of the previous 160 seats, now they can fit 170 seats. So, but the other part of that is that it'll only be some of their economy seats that will be as little as 29 inches of space. And you can rest assured that you can get that extra space back for a small fee. So there will be premium economy seats that give you the amount of space that you used to get, but now you're going to have to pay more for that. So again, buyer beware. If you see a really cheap price on American Airlines, make sure that you have very small legs, or you'll be quite uncomfortable. Although they did say that part of the reason that they're going to be able to get 10 more seats is also the new slimline seats that they're using that have much less cushioning. So not only will your legs not be comfortable, your back will not be comfortable either. So just a word for the wise, beware. On the other hand, Southwest Airlines did make an announcement in the past week that they will stop overbooking all flights, period. They will just not do it. So I think last week I had said I just don't quite understand why the airlines don't do that. If every seat is sold and they're holding the people's money, that should be it. You know, now granted, Southwest is very, very generous in allowing customers who miss a flight, can't make a flight, need to cancel a flight. They will credit you what you paid for that ticket, 100% of what you paid. Now, of course, if you need to get a new flight on a minute's notice, it may be significantly more expensive, so you would have to pay the difference, but at least you don't lose totally what it is that you paid. But the bottom line is, if there's always people on standby, if somebody doesn't show up, chances are they're going to find somebody to put on the seat. And if they have 1 or 2 empty seats and they have to fly, well, so be it. It's better than ripping people out of seats and beating the living daylights out of them. So congratulations to Southwest, and that's why I'm flying them this coming week. Also in news that might be of interest when it comes to the airlines, this is some good news. For those of you who live in South Florida and perhaps have an interest in visiting Israel, El Al Airlines is reinstituting flights out of Miami. They canceled them back in 2008, so it's been 9 years since they have been flying, and anybody who wanted to fly to Tel Aviv would have to go up to New York or Boston to change planes. So now you'll be able to go 3 times a week on a Boeing 777-200 aircraft. They are going to be the only carrier that's going to have the Miami to Tel Aviv route. Tickets will go on sale later this month, and the flights don't begin flying, though, until November. But there are some good deals to Israel right now. They need the tourism dollar, so I'm sure we'll be talking about that in the future, about some of Dan's deals to Israel. We've spoken about that in the past, so I'm sure we will talk about it some more. By the way, also in the past, we've spoken quite a bit about the Visit Florida and the state legislature here trying to defund them. It seems that they did go ahead and do that. Governor Scott is not happy. They stripped them of 2/3 of their budget, so they went from 2016 budget of $75 million. Now they're down to just $25 million. So the good news is us residents in Florida are probably going to have less tourists on the highways to worry about. The bad news is all those tax dollars that it generates and all the jobs that it generates may go away, because as somebody who spends his time marketing most of the day, I'm a believer in marketing, and if you don't tell people about the product that you are offering, then they don't know it exists, and then they won't be buying it. So I do believe that this will hurt, and in a couple of years, hopefully the legislature will understand that it wasn't a good idea, and they'll restore some of the budget that they took away. Let's face it, Florida depends on tourism dollars, and if you take that away, we're going to be in a world of trouble. So we can't live on oranges anymore. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to take one last break. I got a tiny bit more travel news for you and a couple of Dan's deals. You don't want to miss it, so stay tuned for more of the Golf and Travel Show. We'll be right back. And we are back. Another one of my favorite New Orleans performers, Dr. John. A little bit of Basin Street blues there. A little bit more travel news, and then we'll get into some deals for you. Every once in a while, I like to talk about cruises as well, and some cool cruises. Theme cruises are always neat. I have to tell you that these don't fall under the Dan's Deals category, really, because they're not cheap. You could say they're a good value, though, so let's go with that. So here's one that's not necessarily of interest to me, but it may be of interest to you, so that's why I'm sharing it. How about a cruise to Alaska on Holland America that will be hosted by Oprah Winfrey and her friends? Some people would like that, I'm sure. And what would happen is she would be there with editors from her magazine, such as Lucy Kalin and Gail King, as well as their creative director, Adam Glassman. Music from performers such as India Arie and Angela Davis and Glennon Doyle Melton as well. So plenty of entertainment. It's a 7-day cruise departing on July 15th. As I said, it goes to Alaska. And let's see, it seems that there are 4 additional ones that are going to be hosted by her as well. So you may want to check it out. It starts at only $13.99 plus taxes and fees and port fees, so it'll be a little bit higher. Obviously, when you go on these themed cruises, you're going to pay a little bit more. What are you going to do? But that's just the way it goes. If you want to spend time with Oprah, you better have a deep pocket, I suppose. I don't have the information on this one, so what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to Google the Oprah cruise or go to Holland America and look for the Oprah cruise. But also, this one would be a little bit more up my alley. And this was just announced today. And this particular cruise is put together by Sixth Man, and they do a lot of music cruises. They're just huge. They kind of invented the whole category. And this is going to be setting sail next February 26th next year out of Miami. And this one's going to be led by Joe Bonamassa. So if you're into the blues and you're into some incredible guitar playing, this one might be for you. Additional musicians or bands such as Los Lobos, G.J. Gray and Mofro, Anna Popovic, she is an incredible guitar player. I know some people who just recently saw her and said she just blew the house away. This goes from Miami to Montego Bay in Jamaica, and this is on the NCL Jade, which was recently renovated. So, and there's a whole bunch of other artists on this one as well. Now, typically, I don't have the pricing on this one, but they usually start in the $2,000 range and go up from there. So, you got to have some money, but you're going to see a whole bunch of great music while you're on there. So they're taking pre-registration right now. bluesaliveatsea.com/presale. So actually, you can get an inside cabin for as little as $1,100 plus taxes and fees. So that's not too bad. Of course, if I was taking my wife, she would not have an inside cabin. So you move into a balcony type cabin. and you're going to probably pay close to double that. But if you're into these particular bands that are playing, you might want to check it out. On a negative note, the United States, this past week, they issued a travel alert saying that it might not be safe due to terrorist attacks to travel to Europe. Okay. So I understand we've spoken about some of the terrorism that's been happening in certain places, such as France. But our government mentioned France, Russia, Sweden, and the United Kingdom as places, especially busy urban hubs like tourist hotspots, that U.S. citizens should exercise additional vigilance in these kinds of locations, in particular during the upcoming summer travel season when large crowds may be common. So this came from the State Department. So personally, I believe if we change our habits due to terrorists, then they won. And so I would encourage people to travel wherever they feel like it, especially to Europe. There are some great deals. Just keep your wits about you and keep your eyes open and be safe is all I could say. But I thought that this was a little unusual because our government knows that when they make an alert like that, it could adversely affect tourism in a big way. And these are our allies, most of these places in Europe. Russia, I'm not so sure these days, but certainly France and Sweden and the United Kingdom are our allies. So it may put a bit of a hurting. The good news is prices may get even lower. So I'll be sure to keep you abreast of that. All right, a couple of deals for you this week. Place that I visited not long ago, at least the city, was Asheville. Had a great time there. It's a beautiful place to visit, especially when the weather is hot here in Florida, because you're at a nice elevation up there in the mountains, but it can be quite expensive. But how about a deal that I found on Travel Zoo? Putting you in the Village Hotel, a brand new hotel that's right on the Biltmore estate. So you can walk to the wine tastings and the shops and all the different buildings, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful area of Asheville. Normally, to stay here would cost you $399 a night, but they've got this deal where weekday stays through June are only $179 a night. Weekends are also discounted, and that includes a $25 food and beverage credit to the Village Hotel restaurants. So a really good deal. You need to book this by May 18th, though, and I wouldn't waste too much time because deals like this typically can sell out even sooner than the last date before it expires. So it looks like a beautiful hotel, highly rated, and like I say, quite new. So you'll have a good time there. If you'd like to travel a little bit further from Miami, how about to the north of Italy, to the Lake Como area, Lake Garda and Lake Maggiore. Again, extremely expensive to go to these areas typically, but on Travel Zoo, I found this deal where for less than the cost of the air typically would be, you can get your air and stay in 4-star villa. And, this is probably a good 40% off the regular price, so it's pretty neat. I believe it includes a car as well. The only problem is it's a stick, so you can upgrade if you want an automatic. You'll spend 3 nights at the Hotel Villa Malaspina, located right near Lake Garda, which is Italy's largest lake. Verona is a 20-minute drive away. Think Romeo and Juliet. That's Verona. I've been there. It's very, very cool. Stood right at that balcony that Juliet was talking to Romeo from. Extremely cool. You'll also then spend 3 nights in an upgraded room overlooking Lake Maggiore at the Villa Carlotta. And you also, it has a 1-day hop-on, hop-off ferry tour to take a look at that lake and the Borromean Islands that are there. You can add an extra 3 nights in Tuscany or in the Venice countryside for as little as $199 extra. At these prices, you might as well do it. This particular package, you can get it starting on September 11th, and they also have dates of departure October 3rd, 11th, 31st, and November 7th and 11th. And again, this is from Miami, which is really cool. Typically, it costs more money to fly from Miami, so to get it at this price is incredible. You need to book this by May 31st to get this deal, and you'll save quite a bit. This is through a tour company called Fleetway, which I've never used, of course, but Travel Zoo has been working with them for a long time and says that they're quite reputable. Do your own research, though. Don't take it from me unless it's something that I've personally done. If you would like to travel even further, okay, how about a deal also found on Travel Zoo? going to Auckland, New Zealand, and Tahiti. Now, this is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of a trip, a bucket list kind of a trip. Typically, again, extremely expensive. It's a long flight. Get ready for it. But typically, you pay for it. But again, for less than what the flight typically costs, you get an incredible package to go with it. We're talking about, 3 nights at the 4-star Le Méridien Hotel in Tahiti with a daily American breakfast. Round-trip airfare from Los Angeles to Auckland with a stop in Tahiti, either on your way there or on your way back. This is based on 2 people traveling together. You can also upgrade to a 4.5-star resort in Tahiti if you prefer. You can also upgrade and add a stop in Australia if you would like to. This trip is just a little over $1,000, $1,048 per person for double occupancy. And like I say, this is just a crazy, crazy price. And Meridian is a great chain. Again, I can't speak about this particular location, but I've stayed at several Meridian hotels. It's one of my favorite chains of all. The dates on this, you can either depart on June 1st through July 7th or August 13th through March 31st. So you have a huge amount of dates to choose from, to have an opportunity to spend some time in the beach, in Tahiti, or even to go to New Zealand. I know somebody who was just there, a fellow friend / golfer who played some golf there. They've got incredible golf there and just beautiful, beautiful sights to see, both in Tahiti and in New Zealand. So if I were you, I wouldn't wait. This is definitely bucket list kind of stuff. And you do have to hurry, though. Like I said, book by May 12th. Travel Zoo, $1,048, Auckland, New Zealand, and Tahiti. You can't go wrong. Want to remind everybody that if you want to find out about the guests that we have coming on the show, the best way to do that is to go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Golf and Travel Show. If you go there and you like our page, every week, usually on Wednesday, I will post who our guests are going to be on Friday, and then you can have an opportunity to tune in and learn all the stuff like I did. And, of course, I want to thank our guest from this week, Jonathan Romeo, the Director of Business Development for the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail. And, of course, if you want more information, you can go to their website, rtjgolf.com, or give them a call at 800-949-4444. We'll be back next week with another exciting episode of the Golf and Travel Show. Talk to you then.
On a tour of one night stands, my suitcase and guitar in hand, and every stop is neatly planned for a poet and a one-man band. Homeward bound.
You have been listening to the Golf and Travel Show, hosted by Dan Shue, heard live every Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. on 1470 WWNN, and replayed every Sunday from 6 to 7 p.m. on 740 a.m. WSBR. Visit the show on Facebook and tune in next week. If you are in South Florida or traveling the world, hit 'em straight. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Me and my old lady ain't been getting along. Things don't get better, I'll soon be long gone. The situation is driving me insane. Somebody touch my coat and hat and hand me my walking cane. Gotta put on my traveling shoes. Gotta put on my...
Hi, it's Jay Foster. Join us 7 days a week from 2 to 3 p.m. for Health Connection Radio. We'll talk about natural cholesterol control, toxic metal syndrome, how to reverse bone loss, and the latest scientific research on vitamins and minerals. We'll have fascinating guests, and we'll take lots of your calls, too. So join us 7 days a week from 2 to 3 p.m. for Health Connection Radio right here on WNN.
Hi, this is Cedric the Entertainer. More than 29 million Americans have diabetes. For 1 in 5 of them, it causes burning, shooting pain in the feet or hands, a condition called painful diabetic peripheral neuropathy or diabetic nerve pain. My dad has diabetic nerve pain. I knew something was wrong when he limited the things he loved to do, like gardening, long drives, and visiting our family. If you have diabetes and burning shooting pain in your feet or hands, step on up. Have a real conversation with your doctor and take a step towards some pain relief. Visit steponup.com.
Those of us who grew up with Elvis and the Everly Brothers thought we'd never need help. But today, many of us can't afford enough healthy meals. There is help available thanks to MooZone, a Jewish